This holiday, BMW has reunited 3 members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
Heads up, folks. Interest rates are falling. But as of September 23rd, 2024, you can still lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account at public.com. That's a pretty big deal, because when rates drop, so can the interest you earn on your cash. A bond account allows you to lock in a 6% or higher yield with a diversified portfolio of high-yield and investment-grade corporate bonds. So while other people are watching their returns shrink, you can sit back with regular interest payments. But you might want to act fast, because your yield is not locked in until you invest. The good news? It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up at public.com. Lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account, only at public.com. Brought to you by Public Investing, member FINRA and SIPC. Yield to worst is not guaranteed. Not an investment recommendation. All investing involves risk. Visit public.com/disclosures for more info.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Exposed, Scandalous Files of the Elite. I'm your host, Jim Chapman, and we are back with this 4th installment in our Bad Teacher series. And today we're going to start out in Texas, specifically Aldine, Texas. And I promise you, you won't believe your ears when I'm done telling you this one. I also have a teacher out of Arkansas I'm going to be telling you about today, but we're going to start out in Texas and Alexandria Vera. So let me give you a little bit of history about Alexandria. She was an 8th grade English teacher at Thomas J. Stovall Middle School, which is part of the Aldine Independent School District. And according to students, she was known as the cool teacher. She'd do things like let students use cell phones while in class, and they thought she was pretty awesome. And even though she was only 24, she had already divorced her husband, and according to her ex's step-grandfather, it was due to him acting immature. Now, that same step-grandfather of her ex-husband also noted he knew Alexandria to be hardworking. She was a good mother who put herself through college. Now, physically, she's gorgeous, honestly. And I'll put some pictures on the Patreon. But a truly beautiful woman, and with what you're about to find out, a very twisted mind. She was also the mother to a 6-year-old daughter from a prior relationship, and life was moving along for Alexandria on May 27th of 2016 when an affidavit of probable cause was filed in the Harris County District Courts in regards to an ongoing investigation into Alexandria Vera and a 13-year-old student, which lasted even through the time he turned 14. Now, I'm going to go over what was alleged in that affidavit filed by Officer J. Gonzalez. So according to Vera met the student, and we're going to refer to the student as JT, during a summer school session. And Vera said that JT was initially rude to her, but he later began asking for her Instagram name. Vera said she denied giving JT her Instagram information. So after summer school ended, JT found Vera on Instagram and he requested to follow her. Initially, she rejected that. And Vera noticed that at the beginning of the school year, JT was actually assigned to her 8th grade English class. She stated that JT would flirt with her and he would say inappropriate things to her, and she claimed that she would tell him to stop, but he would continue to flirt with her. Then, in September of 2015, Vera noticed that JT was not in class, and she became worried about him, she said. So she said she slid into his DMs, for lack of a better word, on Instagram to check on him and reminded him of an assignment that was due. JT replied, and this led him to ask Vera for her phone number. The student asked Vera if they could hang out outside of school, and she agreed. Vera drove to his house and picked him up. They drove around for a little while, and she said they kissed in the car. Now, this is a 24-year-old woman and a 13-year-old boy at this time. Vera then drove to JT's house again the following day because his parents weren't home. Vera told investigators this was the first time that she and JT had sex. This was in September of 2015. So the two began having sex on a daily basis, mostly at her home. So on October 8th of 2015, Vera met JT's parents at an open house at school. After the open house, Vera actually went to JT's home, and JT would refer to her in front of his parents as his girlfriend. Vera told investigators that the parents not only knew about the relationship, but they also approved of it. Can you believe that? Vera was invited to attend family gatherings. The parents allowed JT to stay overnight with Vera at her home. In the mornings, Vera would drop the boy off at his house on her way to work so that he could catch the bus to school and not raise red flags, right? Teacher pulling up with a 13-year-old kid every day might raise an eyebrow somewhere. Vera said the relationship with the student grew and they continued to have sex and spend time together. Vera also told investigators that she and the boy, get this, love each other. 24-year-old woman. Vera claimed that she got pregnant with JT's baby in January of 2016, and Vera told investigators that the boy's family was told about the pregnancy, and they were, quote, very supportive and excited about the baby. Vera terminated the pregnancy in February of 2016, however, after getting nervous when CPS, Child Protective Services, showed up at school to question her and the student about their relationship. Vera, of course, denied the relationship to CPS. Now, how did Vera even get on the radar with police regarding the teacher-student relationship? Well, Alexandria Vera admitted to the relationship when she was confronted by the school principal, Elsa Wright. And Vera told that principal that the boy's parents, hey, they accepted her as his girlfriend and almost like she was not doing anything wrong. Of course, Miss Wright had heard gossip going around the school. All these kids are going to talk. And that's what caused her to confront and ask Vera about that relationship. The principal then got with the SRO, the school resource officer, and they began to investigate that relationship between Vera and JT. So what happened at that point? Well, an Aldine Independent School District peace officer, he gets assigned to investigate this improper relationship, and that officer was provided Vera's cell phone. And she consented to a digital search of her phone. Now, that phone was forensically analyzed and many messages between Vera and JT were found, which was consistent with what Vera had told that principal. So the local school district, they then issue a statement saying Aldine School has been made aware of the charges that have been filed against a former Stovall Middle School teacher. And they say former because when they started investigating her, of course, they put her on leave and then fired her. But I'll move on. Involved in an inappropriate relationship with a male student. When the allegation was made in April of 2016, the teacher was immediately removed from the school and placed on administrative leave. The safety and security of Aldine's students and staff remain a priority of the school district. So Assistant District Attorney Tiffany Dupree with the Child Abuse Division, she was quoted as saying, as parents, we entrust teachers with a very important role to educate students, and we should not be concerned about teachers getting into a sexual relationship with our children while they were at school. Dupree also added that the child's parents could face criminal charges. Failure to report child abuse is a possibility, she said. So a forensic interview was conducted where Vera was able to identify parts of JT's body. JT's forensic interviews were consistent with the story that Vera had told investigators. And of course, police, they interview neighbors, right? They start going to houses, knocking on doors, and they start asking these neighbors if they noticed anything. And according to neighbors, Vera sometimes had as many as 5 teenage boys over at a time. One neighbor told investigators she was having a lot of kids in her home. There was drinking in the front. We always found beer bottles and beer cans on her side of the lawn, and half of the teens did not look older than high school, maybe. Another neighbor who wanted to remain anonymous said that kids were always over to Vera's house, and she always told neighbors that it was her brother and his friends. So when this came out, that step-grandfather that I mentioned to Vera's ex-husband in the beginning, he told reporters, I've got to admit, it was very shocking. This was not the Alex that we know. So she was good at hiding her indiscretions. He went on to say, Alex today says she doesn't know what she did wrong. He said that Vera feels she did nothing wrong because she just fell in love. Talk about an idiot. And of course, other parents, they had reactions as this came out. A parent of another student at Stovall Middle School told reporters it's horrible for any father or any family member going through this situation. When you send your child to school, you think everything will be safe for them, but I think this is something that is serious and needs to be investigated. Another parent said everybody needs to get involved and they need to do something because these children are our children. It's messing up our children's mind. And even another said, I have chills because of this, just to think a teacher would even do this. Now, an unnamed student who was asked if he ever noticed anything in class mentioned that he grabbed her butt and everybody saw it. And then everybody started talking about it. Obviously, police have a ton of information, including the confession of the teacher herself, Alexandria Vera. So they issue an arrest warrant for her. Police go to her house and they take her into custody. This was on May 30th of 2016.
Whatever the adventure, there's a BMW engineered to take it on. The X3 delivers a striking design with agile performance. The 100% electric i4 packed with pure electric energy. Or the plug-in hybrid X5, an impressive, versatile SUV granting full control on every journey. Choose what powers your next adventure during the BMW Road Home Sales Event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Hurry in for exceptional offers through January 2nd. Visit BMWUSA.com for details.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
A man answered the door and he told police that neither Vera nor her 6-year-old daughter were at the house at that time. The man said she left and he had no idea where she went. This was on May 30th. Then on June 1st of 2016, Alexandria Vera turns herself into police in Conroe, Texas. She was charged with continuous sexual abuse of a child, which carries a minimum sentence of 25 years in prison under Texas law. And prosecutors, they told the media that the legislature had recently passed a continuous sex assault of a child charge. If a defendant has sexual intercourse with a child under the age of 14 2 times or more over a 30-day period, it enhances the punishment from 25 to life without the possibility of parole. So her bail gets set at $100,000, and she was released just hours after her arrest. So upon her release, reporters, of course, are everywhere waiting for her to get out of jail for her statement. And all she said was, I have a lawyer, I have legal representation, and I can't say anything. So what about the boy? If it was true that his parents approved of this, you don't want to leave him with the parents, right? Well, police, they're thinking the same thing. And that 14-year-old boy was removed from his parents' care by CPS, and he was placed in foster care. And JT's parents, although they had not been charged in the case, they were ordered to undergo therapy and attend parenting classes. The parents did retain custody of their 3 other children. Now, let's talk about what Alexandria was doing while she was out on bond. She had a lot of conditions involved in that bond, and there were 8 main conditions to her bond. 1, she was not to communicate directly or indirectly in any manner with the student except through lawyers or the court. Her second condition, Vera was not to threaten or harass the student. Her third condition, Vera was not to visit the student's residence or be within 200 feet of the residence. Her fourth condition, she was to have no contact with children under the age of 17 with the exception of relatives, meaning her young daughter and her underage brother. Her fifth condition, Vera was not allowed to go near any school grounds, period, within 200 feet. She had curfew conditions, which said she had to be home from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. every night. And she was not allowed to use the internet at home, but was allowed to use it at her job. She reportedly had a new job, but it was unclear what that job was. And of course, she had to wear a GPS tracker at all times. And if she were to break any of these terms, her bond would be revoked and she would go back to jail. But that didn't scare Alexandria, because she was back in court on Wednesday, August 3rd of 2016 for violating the curfew condition of her bond. Documents showed that she was due at home at 8 p.m. on July 26th, and she was 46 minutes late returning home. And that GPS device that she was required to wear, it placed her at a shopping center. But the judge, he denies the prosecution's request to revoke her bond, although he did tell her, hey, this is going to be your last chance. And the prosecution said it was especially upset because in the past, she had violated another condition, which was to stay away from schools, especially the school she worked at. And get this, according to the prosecution, soon after she made bond, she goes to the school that she was already suspended from and eventually fired from for sleeping with that student and getting pregnant by the student for that matter. And she goes to the track and decides she wants to go for a little run around the track in her little skinny shorts and a little crop top. In the prosecution, they didn't like that too much. So they discussed it with the judge, but they failed to take legal action at that time. And there was another violation that she had. When she bought a new cell phone, she set up a new plan, and she wasn't supposed to do that. It seems like she was trying to circumvent some rules, maybe to get in touch with that kid, allegedly. So on November 16th of 2016, Alexandria Vera finally appears in court in Harris County. And many people testified. One in particular was a doctor by the name of Karen Lawson. She was a clinical psychologist who specialized in sex offender treatment. And during her testimony, Lawson explained that Vera came from a somewhat tumultuous background where she witnessed some domestic abuse. And the doctor also said that Vera was taken advantage of by men she dated. But she classified Vera as accomplished, a person who had held a job since the age of 14 and bought her first home at 21, put herself through college, cared for her little brother, and was the full-time caregiver to her 6-year-old daughter. The doctor went on to say she did not classify Vera as a traditional pedophile, but believes she was truly in love with the student. So the prosecution, they get up and they have their chance to talk to Dr. Lawson, and other details emerged. Pornographic pictures of the victim and Vera were found on Vera's cell phone. She was actually taking pictures of them having sex. She also allowed other students to have sex in her home. Lawson's testimony under cross-examination also revealed that Vera and the victim's father pretended they were in a relationship with each other to try to cover up the student-teacher relationship. How about that fucking bomb? The father of the student, let me say that again, decided he was going to pretend like he was the boyfriend to Vera in order to trick people into believing that that's why she was at the house all the time. He's just as guilty as she is in my eyes. The victim's mother was in court to show Vera's support as well as other students and their parents. You can't make that shit up. And I'm telling you, when I post these pictures on Patreon, you're not going to believe it. This is a beautiful girl. So what happened? Let's get to the verdict. Vera was originally charged, if you'll remember, with continuous sexual assault of a child.
Whatever the adventure, there's a BMW engineered to take it on. The X3 delivers a striking design with agile performance. The 100% electric i4 packed with pure electric energy. Or the plug-in hybrid X5, an impressive, versatile SUV granting full control on every journey. Choose what powers your next adventure during the BMW Road Home Sales Event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Hurry in for exceptional offers through January 2nd. Visit bmwusa.com for details.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
But pleaded guilty to a lesser charge of aggravated sexual assault of a child, which doesn't carry that 25 to life sentence that the continuous sexual assault would. So prosecutors agreed to a maximum term of 30 years, and defense attorney Ricardo Rodriguez planned to ask the judge for probation. So Vera gets released on bail until her sentencing in January of 2017. And she was also eligible for what's known as deferred adjudication, in which the case will be placed on probation and will have no felony on her record if she successfully completed the terms. She was eligible for that. Didn't mean that that was what was going to occur, but that's what she was eligible for. So on Friday, January 13th of 2017, Vera is sentenced to 10 years in prison. So that makes her eligible for parole in just 5 years of 2017. Now, the judge in that case, Judge McSpadden, he told Vera this case will serve as an example to deter other teachers from crossing inappropriate lines. He went on to say, we want our teachers to educate our children, keep their hands off our children, and prepare them for the future. And believe it or not, 10 years is on the higher end of other cases seen in Texas. Former Chief of Staff at the U.S. Department of Education, Terry Abbott, said, it's a very strong sentence. It's a very good first step. A teacher who is convicted of sexually assaulting a student in one county can get probation, while another jurisdiction, they get 5 or 6 years. Abbott said that's because Texas has no minimum sentence. Texas has more than twice as many cases of assault of children by teachers than any other state, believe it or not. Now, Alexandria, as I said, she was eligible for parole on January 12th of 2022, but she was denied and remained in custody. She's now 33 years old, and she's being held at what's known as the Coleman Work Facility in Lockhart, Texas, and her projected release date is just 2 years from now, January 12th of 2027. And I kind of talked a little bit about Texas and their light sentences. And in 2014, Felicia Smith, another teacher at Stovall Middle School, she faced criminal charges for giving a sexually suggestive lap dance to a student in a classroom as a gift for his 15th birthday. How nice of her. She was actually sentenced to 3 years probation. Another teacher in Texas, a guy by the name of Jeffrey Guzman, was sentenced to 10 years in prison for an inappropriate relationship with a student, and we may do an individual case on that. In a separate case, a former spring teacher by the name of Jessica Lynn Kelly, she got 2 years behind bars. You can see how light these sentences are. An attorney by the name of Paul Morgan said, historically speaking, females seem to get lenient treatment, and I would agree with that. Morgan said their cases seem to be less common than male teachers, but the judge wanted to send a message in Vera's case. And just a couple of stats, former U.S. Department of Education Chief of Staff Terry Abbott, who is now of the Houston public relations firm Drive West Communication, he cited research in 2014 showing Alabama with the highest per capita rate of teacher-student issues, but Texas, with 116 accusations and convictions, certainly leads the United States in such cases. And to put that in perspective, Pennsylvania comes in second with 45, so double that. And it's surprising to know Pennsylvania comes in second to me. So that is the case of Alexandria Vera. And we're going to move on to another one. And it's important to mention that this case out of Arkansas is not adjudicated yet. As a matter of fact, it's a very high-profile case occurring right now in Arkansas, specifically Little Rock, and a former teacher by the name of Reagan Gray. Now, at the time of this alleged incident, Reagan was 23, but currently, today, she's 26, and we'll talk about how she went 3 years with this escapade that we're going to get into. And she's another beautiful teacher, blonde hair, fit. And this girl in particular really has like a very sweet look to her, almost a pure look. And I'll post those pics for you on the Patreon. So it was shocking when this seemingly all-American girl was arrested on April 24th of 2024. And it's important to note again that this case has not been adjudicated. So everything I'm about to cover is allegations at this point. But let's get into it. So originally, Reagan was from Monticello, Arkansas, and she was employed as a teacher at Little Rock Christian Academy. This is where she was employed during the time of the allegations. Now, Reagan was not working at this school after September of 2023. And Reagan was also employed at Sylvan Hills Middle School. This was beginning in October of 2023. So she left Little Rock Christian Academy. She moves over to Sylvan Hills Middle School the next month, and she was the music teacher there. And Reagan also volunteered in the student ministry at Immanuel Baptist Church in Little Rock, Arkansas, as a youth group leader and member of the music program. Now, that is a very prominent church with a very wealthy congregation in Little Rock. As a matter of fact, Bill Clinton previously worshiped there. It's one of the largest and best known Baptist churches in the entire state of Arkansas. So let me tell you about the crime. Now, according to the affidavit, around September 8th of 2023, FBI Special Agent Joshua Pullman was notified of an incident regarding Reagan having sexual relations with a minor. And we're going to refer to him as V1. This was way back in 2020. Okay? So this affidavit is in 2023, September 8th, but the incident happened in 2020. Let me explain. V1 was a 15-year-old male in 2020 when the assault began. He did not attend Little Rock Christian Academy, but was a member of the student ministry at Immanuel Baptist Church. And Reagan approached V1 at the church. V1 was not aware that Reagan was a middle school teacher at Little Rock Christian Academy. He didn't know what she did outside of teaching church. So I wanted to set that up to tell you this. In 2020, V1's parents, they discovered text messages between him and Reagan on V1's cell phone. The parents of V1, they tell Reagan to stop messaging their child. Now, how Reagan got V1's phone number was through a group chat through the church's music program. So the parents, they then report all of this to Stephen Smith, who is the senior pastor of Immanuel Baptist Church. And Smith, he then goes to Reagan and he confronts her about the text messages. And she tells him the relationship was not physical. They never done anything, right? Other than send each other text messages. So Stephen Smith, the senior pastor, he then removes Reagan from the student ministry. And he, meaning the pastor, says, you need counseling and we're going to give you church counseling. So she gets that church counseling, and then she is then returned back to the student ministry shortly after being removed, which obviously gives her access to minors yet again. She also gets assigned what's known through that church as an accountability partner. And this happened to be Ashley Smith, who was Stephen Smith's wife. And Ashley Smith was part of the Healing Well team, is what they called it, organized by that church. So what was she sending to V1? This is very important. These quote unquote, it was nothing physical text from hers. Well, she's accused of sending nude pictures, including photos of her chest, buttocks, and vaginal area daily. She requested nude pictures in return from the student. Reagan and V1 continued communicating on Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok, despite being confronted by V1's parents. Even when the parents confronted her on this, she continued. That blows my mind. According to the affidavit, V1 stated in a child and adolescent forensic interview conducted by the FBI that he and Reagan did not have penile vaginal intercourse, but that Reagan would verbally request vaginal intercourse from him. V1 also stated that he did engage in sexual contact with Reagan during the fall of 2020 and into the summer of 2021. He stated that Reagan's vehicle and her apartment were where those interactions took place. He said V1 would digitally penetrate Reagan's vagina, and Reagan would perform oral sex on him. And you may wonder what's digitally penetrate. He would finger her. V1 said that he engaged in sexual activity with Reagan approximately 5 to 10 times when he was 15 and multiple times when he was 16. So all of that occurred and people knew about it. His own parents knew something was going on in 2020, although apparently they assumed he stopped. But none of this was reported to the Little Rock Police Department until January 20th of 2024. And it was only reported after a newspaper exposed a story of Immanuel Baptist Church covering up not only this incident, but multiple incidents of abusers. So Little Rock Police, they contact DHS about the allegations. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the investigation. Now, Stephen Smith, he was interviewed in February of 2024. And he stated that in the fall of 2023, Reagan disclosed during a counseling session the relationship between her and V1 was sexual. Smith defended Reagan's actions and, according to reports, said that nothing was illegal about her grooming and predatory sexual behavior. He attempted to justify her behavior by saying the 15-year-old boy had a driver's license and it was consensual. Smith then went on to blame the assaults on Satan in the corrupt world, and in February of 2024, Smith blamed the church's many claims of abuse and media coverage on Satan, saying, "We command you by the power and the blood of Jesus to leave us alone." Now, under Arkansas law, Smith is what's known as a mandated reporter. If he hears of anything, he has to report it, right? He claimed he contacted DHS about Reagan, although no one can find any evidence that he did that. Smith claimed that DHS told him that since the child was 16 at the time of his report and was in a consensual relationship with Reagan, who was not in a supervisory role, it would probably not be investigated. Smith also claimed he spoke with the church legal counsel for personnel matters, and they told him that age was an important factor in whether it was a mandated reporting incident. The counsel did not feel V1's age warranted the incident to be reported. Now, according to Arkansas law, all sexual assaults of minors under 18 must be reported by mandatory reporters. As of May of 2024, Stephen Smith no longer worked as the head pastor at Immanuel Baptist Church. He resigned as the head pastor after controversy about how the church handled sex abuse allegations. So what else happened? Well, Reagan, she eventually turns herself in. She was arrested on April 17th of 2024, and she gets charged with a single count of first-degree sexual assault. Reagan seemed to fully understand that she was involved in this sexual relationship with a minor, and she didn't seem to much care. Criminal defense attorney Joanna Sproul made mention in an interview with Law and Crime that the prosecutors seem to be taking lightly cases of older female perpetrators violating minor male victims, as opposed to an older male perpetrator violating a minor female victim. And we just talked about that in the prior case, and I agree. So Reagan, she gets a $20,000 bond. She was able to secure that bond and is out of custody while awaiting trial. Now, at an arraignment hearing scheduled for September 19th of 2024, Reagan entered a not guilty plea, which you would expect. And a jury trial is scheduled to take place on February 11th of 2025, and I will bring you the details of that as it develops. Got a lot of pictures here that I'm going to be posting to the Patreon so you can see exactly who I'm talking about, as well as some pretty interesting other files from this case. So there you have it. We got to get a handle on this teacher-student relationship stuff. And that's why it's so important you share this podcast if you're getting something out of it. Knowledge is power. The more of a light we shine on this shit, the more likely we can put a stop to it. It's just that simple. And shout out to Rachel Spiller's Research, who helped me research this case. Rachel Spillers does an amazing job for me. Thank you so much. And to everyone else, look, check out the Patreon. If you're not currently a member, go to patreon.com/exposed podcast files if you'd like to get more episodes, bonus episodes, commercial-free early releases, and all kinds of other benefits. Go check it out. We'd love to have you as one of our celebrities. And until next time, for Exposed, Scandalous Files of the Elite, I'm your host, Jim Chapman. Much love.
This holiday, BMW has reunited 3 members of the family at the BMW Road Home Sales event. The Agile X3, engineered for any adventure. The plug-in hybrid X5, commanding the streets with unmatched presence. And the all-electric i4, charging into the future with impeccable performance. Hurry in to find what powers your journey at the BMW Road Home Sales event. BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Visit Valley BMW Center today for attractive lease and finance offers.
Listen up, folks. Time could be running out to lock in a historic yield at public.com. As of September 23rd, 2024, you can lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account. But here's the thing. The Federal Reserve just announced a big rate cut, and the plan is for more rate cuts this year and in 2025 as well. That's good news if you're looking to buy a home, but it might not be so good for the interest you earn on your cash. So, if you want to lock in a 6% or higher yield with a diversified portfolio of high-yield and investment-grade bonds, you might want to act fast. The good news? It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up at public.com. And once you lock in your yield, you can earn regular interest payments even as rates decline. Lock in a 6% or higher yield with a bond account at public.com. But hurry, your yield is not locked in until you invest. Brought to you by Public Investing, member FINRA and SIPC. Yield to worst is not guaranteed. Not an investment recommendation. All investing involves risk. Visit public.com/disclosures for more info.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for 50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.